Hey everybody, I'm Bueller from Comics with Bueller, and this is
Bob from Everything Comics.
and you're watching Comic Book Addicts.
Oh.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Comic Book Addicts. We got a good one this evening. This is Comic Book Addicts episode 77. It is Monday, July 8th. We are coming off an Independence Day weekend, a weekend of Independence Day celebrations. I hope that you all had a good time. I hope that you were all safe and spent some good quality time with your families and celebrated the USA, the 248th birthday of this country, I believe. I think it's the 248th. I could be dead wrong, but I think it's the 248th birthday. But anyways, it's Monday, and so glad to be here. So glad to have the guests that we have this evening. We got an awesome show, so I hope that you guys will stick around. Monday also means the Monday night lineup, and we have a full roster of live streams for you guys this evening. Excuse me. All starting off with Izzy at Izzyverse NYC, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. He brings you the comic book weekly pull list, running down the hot 10 list in comic books. Always a great time, and he does a giveaway every week, so be sure to tune in for that every week, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then, of course, Comic Book Addicts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We got Council of Comics at 8 p.m. Cliff, C. Bizzle, and all those guys over there. Really good time. Be sure to check that one out. Lots of fun. We got Geek Out with Roscoe and Phil between the lines at 8:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Tonight, their guest is Derwin Robertson. It's going to be an awesome show. Roscoe hasn't been able to do Between the Lines the last couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to their return. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we have 22 Comics with his top 10 alternatives. This is one of my personal favorite live streams when it comes to comic book live streams. He gives us alternate picks to the hot list, and he gets pretty creative with it sometimes. So if you've never checked it out, be sure to check out 22 Comics at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Then wrapping it up for the night, we got Cup O Comics with his Monday Night Raw books. Awesome hangout. Will is an awesome dude. If you've never checked that one out, be sure to slide on over there at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and check him out. We got a whole evening full of awesome live streams for you guys. CBC Awards. CBC Awards kicked off a few weeks ago, and rather than try to remember all the stuff myself, I'm going to kick it over to Brian real quick for a CBC Awards announcement.
Hey YouTube, Brian LCS with a CBC Awards update. The nominations are now open for the 2024 CBC Awards, and it runs through August 10th. Visit cbcawards.org, click on the Nominate Now. It will open up the nomination ballot with the 30 categories that you can vote in. You don't need to fill out the entire ballot. If you just want to pick and choose which category, that is fine. One thing I'd recommend is not to just put a single channel across all 30 categories. Certainly not all channels and creators meet the criteria for every category. So just keep that in mind. And if you can see, we have an ongoing list of nominated channels. We'll be updating that periodically throughout the period to help show what other channels are being nominated, what other people are voting for, and to hopefully build some excitement. So check out that list. Get your ballot in now until August 10th.
Yes, absolutely. It's really quick, really easy to do. Just hop on over to www.cbcawards.org and click ballots and just vote for. There's tons of creators, tons of deserving creators in this community. Next week, Comic Book Addicts, we have an awesome show. I hope you guys will come back next week. We have talented, legendary writer Justin Gray. You may know him from DC titles such as Jonah Hex, Hawkman, Power Girl, Freedom Fighters. He's written video game comic books such as Dead Space and Prototype. And he teamed up with Jimmy Palmiotti to do the Friday the 13th series, which I am a huge fan of. So I cannot wait to have him next week and talk all about some horror stuff, just all kinds of comic book stuff. So I hope you guys will come back for that next week. Let's see who we have in the chat with us this evening. We got Las Crucius, as usual, first in line. He says, hooray, woohoo, and hello from New Mexico. Welcome, Las Crucius. Hello from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I hope you're doing well this evening, man. We got Comic Tropes. DKK is making one of the best comics out there today. Absolutely. Welcome, Comic Tropes. I'm such a big fan of your channel. So good to see you in here this evening. Thanks for coming out. Derek is an absolutely amazing creator, and this definitely is one of the best comics out there, and that's why I wanted to have him on here tonight. So thanks for coming out to check it out. We got Beckerman, another community legend in the house. He says, "Hey Scott, what's up, Beckerman? So glad to see you in here with us this evening." We got Rich, Comic Cap Collectibles. He says, "Yo, hello all. Hey Scotty, what's up, Comic Cap? What's going on, Rich? I hope you're doing well this evening. And I hope that you guys all had a great weekend this past weekend, celebrating the 4th and all the festivities, good time with your family and fireworks and all that stuff." We got C Bizzle in the house. He says, "Good evening, everyone." C Bizzle is part of the Council of Comics crew who will be going live at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Let's see, going through the list, we got Trev, the shipping guru, another legend from the community. He says, "Hey, Scotty, what's up, Trev? So glad to see you in here this evening, man. Welcome." But yeah, we have an awesome guest tonight. I normally do a little skit that I call YouTube polls where we go through different YouTube polls, but I'm going to skip all that tonight because I'm excited about this evening's guest. Our guest this evening is a very talented artist and writer. His newest title, The Last Mermaid, on Image Comics, is visually stunning, and the writing is every bit as good. The series was such a surprise hit that it has went to second and even third printings, I believe now. But here to talk about this amazing series and more, y'all help me welcome Derek Kirk Kim to the live stream.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hey, Scott. Thank you so much for having me.
So glad that you could be here with us. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little exhausted. I just came back from Fan Expo Denver, like last night. Literally last night, like 12:30 a.m. So I'm a little blurry-eyed and a little out of it, but I'm very happy to be here. So thank you so much for having me. And I have a little bit of a sore throat, so I apologize. I caught a cold.
Well, I'm just so glad that you could be here with us. I'm sorry to hear about your jet lag and all that stuff. I hope that you're able to able to get some rest after the live stream. And I'm so grateful that you're able to be here with us, though. So cool.
Thank you so much. Me too. Yeah, I slept like a log. I just passed out.
Well, how was Fan Expo? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was a great time. Now that a few issues have been out, like I had people come out and tell me that they read the book already and that they loved it. I had one person who bought all 5 issues on the first day and they came back Sunday, said they loved it, and stuff like that just makes it all worthwhile. It was really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. And it's had a lot of success. Like I was saying a few minutes ago, it's gotten the second printing, and did they do a third printing for it as well now? I think I saw the third printing.
Yeah, the first issue has 3 printings, and then the second issue, this one, has 2 printings. So yeah, it's been pretty awesome.
Well, for anyone that's may not be familiar with you, can you give us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and a little bit about your background?
Sure thing. I did right before this comic, I worked 10 years actually in animation. And then before that, I worked actually in comics for like 10 years, but it's been cool. Such a long gap. I think most people, don't even remember who I am as a cartoonist, but it's actually kind of cool because I feel like I'm like a young kid again, starting again, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool not to have the kind of baggage of what people expect of me from previous comics, Thanks, Chris. I love you, Chris. Chris is the best.
It really is fantastic.
I love comic tropes. Watch it religiously.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of his channel. He does some great content over on that channel.
Chris, if you have the 5th issue, look in the letters page. Might be something you really like in there.
Uh-oh.
I did a little plug for comic strips in there because I just love it so much. Somebody actually wrote in and said in the letter that they found the comic through comic strips. So I kind of talked about it a little bit in the 5th issue of The Last Mermaid. So thanks so much, Chris. Oh, and Chris, if I may say one other thing, there was a kid that came by at Denver Fan Expo and told me he wanted to pick it up because of comic tropes. He saw Chris talking about it on comic tropes. So
nice,
so cool.
Nice. So it's working. Yeah, word of mouth. He's getting it out there for you. That's awesome. But the book is so good, man. It speaks for itself. And so you also worked in. I was doing a little bit of research on you earlier, and I watched a few interviews. You had gotten out of it for a little while, correct? And
yeah, my first book was called Same Difference, and my first graphic novel anyway, and it kind of I got nominated for Eisner, and or I got an Eisner and a couple other awards and stuff. And
That's
so
incredible.
it started off. My career kind of started off pretty well at that point, but the series Tune, which I was doing with For Second, that one was slated to be 4. Well, Chris, I think you did more. I think you did a greater job than any interview that I could do. I'm very bad at selling myself, but anyway. Yeah, that book actually couldn't be finished. It did 1 and 2, and then it didn't sell well enough for it to have the 3 and 4. So
okay.
it kind of was really crushing at the time. And then also I couldn't keep making a living at comics anymore, so I had to find some other avenue to have a day job. Yeah, Chris, I know you got your own show. I wish I could watch it. Okay, see you, Chris.
See you, Chris. Thanks for coming out, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming out. But yeah, so sorry, my throat is really acting up. But yeah, so then I had to make a living some other way. So I had a friend. I have a really good friend, a really great cartoonist as well, named John Pham, and he has his own book called J&K that just came out recently from Fantagraphics. But he was the art director at an animation studio. They were making the Axe Cop show. Remember Axe Cop, that comic? Yeah. So there was an animated show for a while, and so he was working there, and
that's awesome.
I was lucky enough that he got me in there, and that's how I started in animation. And I tried to do comics on the side, but like animation is so draining that after the day job, I just couldn't get myself to be that productive in comics. But
so that's what you did for a long time, though, was the animation.
Yeah, I worked on a bunch of shows. I worked on Adventure Time.
That's awesome. That is awesome, man.
Yeah, that was really cool. I was the lead character designer on 6 and 7, I think, season 6 and 7, or 7 or 8. I get them confused because when we make them, they kind of air differently, so I kind of forget. And then also after that, sorry,
you're fine.
I worked on. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
And then after that, I got to work at Warner Brothers on this Netflix show called Green Eggs and Ham, which is an adaptation of the Dr. Seuss book.
Oh, cool.
And
cool.
So from there, I switched from character design to storyboarding, and then from storyboarding, I got to direct on Disney's Amphibia, which was a new show at the time. It's on Disney Plus if you've never heard of it, but it's kind of funny. It's a little related to The Last Mermaid because there's also an axolotl character in Amphibia as well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was awesome. I got to direct every other episode on the first season of that show.
Man, that's incredible.
So yeah, that was super. Oh, and that show on Green Eggs and Ham, I got really good at storyboarding because as a director, you also have to do a lot of storyboarding. So when I had the way that The Last Mermaid actually started was as a animatic, which is like storyboards put in sequence with sound and music and stuff. It's actually what we show like the executives and stuff when we're at work. Like we'd make an episode just in storyboards with the voices and sound, and then we put it together. The editor puts it together, and then we show that to the executives and other people in the studio and get notes and stuff like that. And that's what the animatic is normally used for. But I just wanted to do an animatic that was my own story just for fun. And that's how The Last Mermaid started. And that's why the panels are kind of in that more, rectangular sort of format.
Yeah. It's really cool. The way that I love the format for the comic book, first off. And I love the way how certain panels, how the scenery will seem to be spilling out of the panels. It just,
wow,
it's really cool. Really creative. I love it.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So you said you got the initial idea while you were doing the Amphibians show when you got the initial idea?
No, it was kind of brewing for a long time, even longer than Amphibia. Because I was actually pitching my own animated show while I was working in animation. And during that time, I pitched a show called Bobby and the Invisible Express. And it was about a kid on an invisible train. And on this invisible train, there were all these like mythological creatures. And one of them was a mermaid in a mechanical suit that allowed her to get on the train. And so I just kind of pulled that one episode character out and then made her a story around that one character, which turned out to be The Last Mermaid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in the original story, in that original pitch was she was going on the train and she was going into this mechanical device to get on the train to go to another world to save her people. Like she needed some kind of medicine that only existed in this other world that she could only get to on the train. So it was a completely different story, and it's much more kid friendly, of course. But I also always wanted to do a Mad Max style post-apocalyptic story, and so I kind of mashed the two ideas together, and and then The Last Mermaid was born.
And it works beautifully. I actually have some artwork I can throw up here.
Okay.
Well, first off, this is what I used in the background. This is what you first see when you open the book up. Just this beautiful 2-page artwork with the Golden Gate Bridge. And here's just some random pages from the book featuring Lottie the Axolotl and our main character. These pages aren't in order, by the way. I just wanted to get some good examples to show people of the artwork. But man, just some absolutely fantastic artwork in this book. And
thank you so much.
And the writing, I mean, the writing is just the writing is there to match as well. It's a fantastic story. It presents like a Pixar, like a Pixar. And when I watched other interviews, other people were saying kind of the same thing. So it's really cool, man. It's just it's like you're watching a Pixar animation in book form, I guess. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
No, I think it must be there because of all my animation, experience.
You can tell that you have the background in animation. It's very clear when you check this title out. And
I also did live action film too. I went to a film program at the City College in Los Angeles before I did any of the animation stuff. I did live action stuff. So, it's hard to give up all the rack focusing, for example. I actually use rack focus in the comic, which means I'll focus on the background, blur out the figure, but when the figure talks, the figure will come into focus and the background will go out. So, that kind of stuff you do a lot in film, but it's not used that much in comics, but I thought it'd be really cool to try it in comics too. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just gonna say, but I'm not. My childhood dream wasn't to make films or do animation; it was to do comics. So even though I got a lot of inspiration and influence from my animation time, at my heart, I'm more of a cartoonist and comic book writer artist. So that to me is what I feel more. I guess I feel more like a creature of comics than animation, even though it's influenced me a lot for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Comics by the Bay.
Yeah, welcome. We had a bunch of people pop in just now. We got Chris, the comic vet. Welcome. We got Bobby De La Ghetto. What's up, man? Thanks for coming out. Matt, Comics by the Bay. We have Brian LCS in the house. What's up, Brian? Thanks for coming out, man. And Phil Spencer as well, saying, I love The Last Mermaid. I have all 5 issues. Amazing comic. Great work, Derek. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
I caught up through issue 5 today, and some interesting things start to happen. But anyways, we need to talk about the premise. We need to talk about what the book's about. And I know you can probably do a lot better job than I can. Kind of give us a little bit of what the story is about.
That might not be true. You might be better at it, but I'll give it a try. It's about a mermaid trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic desert wasteland when there's basically no water. So in the beginning of the story, just like the fish tank, or actually I jumped ahead there. So to survive in this kind of environment, she has this mech right there, which has a bubble of water in it, and that's the only way she can survive. Because unlike your traditional aerial type mermaid, she doesn't breathe through lungs. She breathes through these gills on her neck.
Gills, yeah.
She needs water to breathe. Just to breathe, she needs water. So, and just like the fish tank, the water in your fish tank grows toxic after a little while, and you have to change it. The filter will only last so long. So she's constantly in search of water because every time or every day the toxicity level gets a little bit higher.
Yeah, so, and it has a meter inside that robot. There's a toxicity meter that she's looking at. So yeah.
And the robot is called the Havoc, casually, but it stands for Hybrid Aquatic Vehicular Chamber.
Oh, cool.
I love that kind of nerdy stuff.
Like
or whatever.
That's a cool touch.
Yeah, thanks. And then what do we call it? So she constantly needs fresh water. so that's her immediate like goals every day. But but she is on a bigger quest that we don't quite know in the beginning. But by the time you get to like the fourth, fifth issue, you realize she's actually in search of her home, what she thinks where her home will be. Somebody has told her that she'll find more people like her, that there's water there, maybe. We don't know for sure. In the sixth issue, she'll describe it in more detail. So she's on a quest to find her home in this place.
The silver trident. She's looking for the silver trident, correct?
So there's this legend that was told to her that, or at least she thinks it's a legend because she doesn't even know if it's true, that there's this giant silver trident that's like reaches into the sky, and this person told her that if she finds that will lead her home, and so that's why she's been risking her life, even though she could, once she finds a water cave. By the way, the only water that's left in this world are water caves, like deep in the earth, and once she finds one of these, she could just stay. She could just stay there, but she's risking her life just going from one water cave to the next that she can find because of this ultimate goal that she has of trying to find her home and hopefully more people like her, other mermaids, I guess, so, and then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say we get introduced to the cutest character in the world, Lottie the Axolotl, which I'm sure we're getting to. Go ahead and say what you were going to say. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, not at all. Glad for the help. Thanks for the help. So her only friend, her only companion, at least in the beginning of the book, is Lottie, the axolotl, right there.
Yes.
And so Lottie and our titular mermaid, who even hasn't been named yet, it's like, Clint Eastwood or Mad Max, in those movies where you don't even know their names in the beginning.
Yeah, because we still don't know her name. We're in issue 5 now and still haven't revealed her name yet. So
yeah, there's a hint to her name on the pages, but I will say on the 6th issue, you'll finally get to know her name.
Okay.
But but I did that on purpose because I wanted to show that, and you probably caught this from her conversations with this new character Torque in the 4th and 5th issue, that she has a lot of trust issues.
Yes.
So she's been through some shit like her whole life. People probably backstabbed her or just were trying. And obviously, there's cannibals in this world, so they're constantly trying to eat her or whatever it might be. She has very hardcore trust issues. So if she tells you her name, that means that she actually trusts you. So that's why she hasn't uttered her name yet, because there's nobody in the book yet that she trusts. And she meets this new character named Torque. So there's this mysterious character she meets in the 3rd issue, and he says that he knows where this giant trident is. He says he's seen it. So she very trepidatiously follows him because he says he can lead her to this landmark. So what do you think? Do you think he should trust her or not, Scott? Does it seem trustworthy?
It's tough. I don't know. I kind of like Torque. He showed it's kind of weird with him though, because he's kind of been generous with her and offering her food, and then he helped Lottie. He squashed the insect and helped Lottie with the insect. So he helped Lottie eat as well. And I don't know, can we trust Torque or not? I'm not real sure. I know she definitely does not trust him still at this point.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's one of the things that I wanted people to keep wondering. Yeah.
When he first showed up, I looked at him as an enemy. I thought he was going to be an enemy.
Gotcha. Yeah. He has a very ominous appearance in the 1st issue. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. But I've enjoyed it. I really have. And I wanted to talk to you about some of your, how did you come up with the idea? And I think it's a genius idea because I really do feel like it probably drew a lot of people to the book with the axolotl. What gave you the idea to include Lottie the axolotl as a sidekick? Because I really do think that was a genius move. And because the issue 2, something about issue 2 really catches your eye and really pulls you to that cover. With the axolotl on the cover.
Right?
Yeah, everybody loves that cover so much. And
it's been really cool because, like, especially at conventions, it always draws people. But
Yep.
the one downside, which I didn't predict at all, is I didn't realize axolotls were such a thing with kids. Like kids
Kids
love
love them.
axolotl.
They
Yeah,
love
and
them.
and they tell their parents about them. Like the parents don't even know what it is. And this is something I probably stumbled into blindly. So I didn't because I'm doing kind of an adult book. Like it's not like super adult, but it is a teen plus book. It's rated teen plus on the back. So a lot of times the kids will be like, "Oh my gosh, axolotl!" But like I'm like, it's a little dark. I don't know. Especially in the second issue, as you know how it ends. It's kind of scary for Lottie. So so I always get, I'm always like torn. I'm like, I want to give it to them, but at the same time, I'm trying to warn their parents, like this is not a kiddie book, So,
Okay.
yeah. But the reason I included the axolotl is because I wanted her to have a companion for one thing. Was because because she's all alone. If she needed to convey some ideas, she needed at least something to bounce her ideas off of, right? Or to at least explain some stuff so that the reader will know.
Makes sense.
And yeah. So I mean, I did have the option of maybe making the Havoc maybe like sentient in a way, like a Jarvis or something. So that was the other idea I played with. But I think having Lottie is really important because it's such a dark world that the mermaid is in, and Lottie brings this kind of like this ray of sunshine and like a beacon of hope,
Absolutely.
to the proceedings. And I think without Lottie, it would be too dark,
Yeah, because it's not a it's not a children's story by any means. There's these crazy like cannibalistic creatures and crazy monsters. It's definitely not a book for small children.
No.
But it is like
I'm sorry.
Lottie provides a little bit of comedy and a little bit of cuteness. Just the right little touch.
It's like a little sugar to the medicine. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I love it.
Totally. But yeah, and then the other thing was I was looking around for like a mer creature to be in the Havoc with her. Yeah. So I did toy around with other things, but when I saw an axolotl, I was just like, because I didn't realize they existed until about maybe 5 years ago or something. Mm-hmm. And when I saw them, I thought maybe it was like fake or something because it looked like a fake smile on like a.
They're so crazy. They're so crazy.
And then I looked them up and it's actually real. They look like a living smiling emoji. So I thought it would be the perfect counterbalance to the more serious story. So, and I just thought it's just so immediately lovable, So, but it seems like people agree. So,
yeah, absolutely. Now, is this going to be an ongoing series? I definitely wanted to find that out. Is it going to be? How many issues do you plan on going with the series?
So the series will probably be about 25 to 30 issues. So that is a rough estimate, but I know I'm guessing that because the amount of script that I've covered in the first 6 issues is about a quarter of the story. So that's why I'm guessing it'll be about that. So it could be a little longer, a little shorter. I'm not quite sure, but it's around that ballpark. But it's one continuous story. Yeah.
Man, that's good news. That's really good news.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it'll probably be like if each trade is like 6 issues thick, it'll probably be about 4 or 5 to finish the whole story. Yeah.
Yeah. Now what made
I wanted
you,
like a perennial kind of book, like like a Cure or something that's all self-contained and it's just complete, 4 books and you're done.
Yeah. As far as like the format, it's a little bit of an unusual format. It's not your standard comic book size. What made you go in the direction to use that particular format, which I love, by the way? I love the magazine size format books, and I'm a big fan of those. What made you decide to go in that direction with it?
Yeah, I'm also a huge fan of that format as well. I grew up reading Heavy Metal magazine. I grew up reading Savage.
I have a whole box of them to my left. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Awesome.
Yeah. I love that format. And I remember those Marvel graphic novels. Remember the original ones? Those are also,
I have a bunch of those too. Those are awesome.
Like when Captain Marvel died or whatever, that one. Death of Captain Marvel. Yeah, that was the first one, I think. And I love. So I've always loved that format too. I love how it's like I say sometimes I say like my book is like reading a comic in IMAX because it's much wider and feels more of your field of view. Yeah, exactly. So so that was one reason, but the main reason, it was just a creative reason, really. It wasn't to drive retailers crazy, which I feel so bad about when they complain, because I totally get it. I totally understand, because I know those boxes were made to be in that certain shelves or whatever. But the reason was I actually did try to make it a normal comic format. So when all the hi Steve, when all
Hi, Steve.
the when all the when I was ready to transfer it from an animatic, when I was ready to take all the storyboard panels and put it into a comic, I tried to make that 8-panel grid, just keeping it the way it was in a regular comic book format. But the panels got really small because it's wide. So when I shrunk it into that like really thin format, I mean, I would have to stack maybe like, you know, like a row of maybe 5 or 6 to fill up a comic book page. And that's just like so many panels in one page. And then balloons would be like super tiny. So, so I just decided to stretch the comic format out so that I could just make an 8-panel grid and use the format that I'd already drawn. Because otherwise I had to crop the panels and then like move stuff around inside to fit a new panel that I would make in the comic book format. And I just figured that's a lot of time to spend on this, whereas I could just spend that time actually drawing the comic if I just keep the format the way it is, you know? So I thought it'd be a more valuable use of my time just to not mess with that and just, you know, just keep it the way it is format wise. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the format. I'm glad that you're doing it in that format. What
Thank you.
are you yourself a comic book collector or do you read any comic books yourself?
Of course, I'm a huge comic book nerd.
Awesome.
Let's see if this camera following thing would work. Yeah, so here's some bunch of graphic novels here.
Oh, nice.
And my friend Gene Luen Yang, his comic American Born Chinese got made into a Disney show, live action show.
Wow.
And so
that's pretty cool.
This like promo box set was sent to me by Disney because Gene put me on the list. And yeah, it came with like a book and Chinese snacks and like all kinds of crazy stuff. It was amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so American Born Chinese, one of my all-time favorite graphic novels by Gene Luen Yang, if you've never read it, is and Gene has done a lot of work for Marvel and DC as well. He wrote the new Shang-Chi, like revitalization was by Gene. He did Superman Smashes the Klan. I don't know, maybe you might have seen that one. And he did the new Superman. He did World's Finest for a while. He did the new Superman run for a little while.
Nice.
So yeah, all of Gene's work is just incredible. We did a book together called The Eternal Smile, and that was a blast. But yeah, in terms of my influences, it's just kind of funny because this person does both animation and comics as well. But Hayao Miyazaki did a graphic novel series called Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, which a lot of people probably know the animated film, but he actually did a graphic novel series. It's 4 thick volumes. Actually, there's different formats, but the one I have is 4 thick volumes, regular like manga size, and it's incredible. It is another post-apocalyptic story, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not like any other post-apocalyptic story you've ever read. He like created this whole ecology and everything. It's insane, but that. Nausicaa is probably one of the biggest influences for The Last Mermaid. Awesome. And then my other favorite comics, of course, are Akira, which everybody loves, of course. And
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I got a huge influence of both manga and American comics.
Oh, cool.
So, and that's probably why my art looks the way it does. And when I was born in South Korea, and then I moved to America when I was 8. So when I was in Korea, like all my comics influences were Asian, and then when I came here, like then it got completely switched because back then they didn't translate any of that stuff like manga or manhwa, so then it was all American comics. So at that point, I the first comic American comic I discovered was Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure it was Spider-Man. So awesome. it was the Romita Stanley ones, the Kingpin, and
oh, sweet.
Yeah. So I was really into
good
this
stuff.
Yeah, and they had it for a while. They had this like kind of like Archie size collections of like 3 issues of the John
like
Romita.
The little double digest Archie.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, like that.
Awesome.
For a while, they had Spider-Man like that, and it was like 3 issues in each one. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. I found them in like a garage sale or something. I don't know, but yeah, I was super into those. Those were my first real obsessions in American comics, and then I got into X-Men after that, and then super into X-Men.
Awesome.
After that, yeah, that was the John Romita Jr. and Claremont era, and then
sweet.
Yeah,
sweet.
So that was my first exposure. I remember thinking it was kind of scary as a kid, actually.
Yeah, pretty. It got pretty brutal at times, but
Yeah.
I loved it back then. I loved it. I ate it up.
Yeah, me too. Like, I think the first story I read was like Morlocks getting killed or something. It was totally like dark. It's totally different than Spider-Man. It was like a world apart from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I got super into X-Men, and then I discovered some DC comics too. I really love the Justice League run by Kevin Maguire, and J.M. DeMatteis and Keith Giffen. That
Cool.
the kind of comedy era of Justice League. I got super into that, and those were my other favorite comics at the time. And then at some like mall going out of store sale, I discovered indie comics. That's when I first saw Hate by Peter Bagg. I don't know if you ever read that one.
I've never read that one. Is it good?
Okay, it's really good. It's
I'm
really
gonna
good.
write
It's
it
like,
down then.
yeah, I mean, it's a daunting title. I know, Hate, but it's not really like, yeah.
Sounds bad.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like if Seinfeld was not about like the normies, but by like the weird grungy indie kids, you know, because it kind of came out at the same time, and so it really captures the indie world, the underground world of that time of the 90s. You know, like it takes place in Seattle, and it's like all the grunge era type stuff. You know, like if you grew up in that time.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds like fun.
Really good. Yeah, super fun. And then Love and Rockets. Have you read Love and Rockets?
Oh, why does that sound familiar? I'm sure I have. Yeah, that sounds very familiar. I think I probably have.
Okay. Yeah, it's a legendary comic in the indie comics world. But so yeah, I discovered indie comics as well. And then I in college I went to Academy of Art in San Francisco, and
oh sweet.
I was really I was so like ready to leave college to start. Yeah, another Hate fan. Awesome. And by Dr. Doom, no less. And anyway, so yeah, in my junior year of college, I submitted. What did I submit to? It was I think I submitted pinups or something. But actually, before I get to that, I just remembered I did the whole portfolio review thing, like going to conventions and showing Marvel and DC like my portfolio.
Yeah.
So I did do that whole thing in high school, and got so many rejections, and it's just crushing because I was such a shy kid. Like, I mean, I could barely even speak. Like, I was just like shaking and sweating, you know, like giving them my portfolio, and yeah, I didn't get anywhere as it should have been, because I was a terrible artist in high school. But when I was in college, I finally started getting some nice feedback, and whatchamacallit, I submitted to Antarctic Press. Did you ever read any Antarctic Press comics?
Yes, I've read some Antarctic Press comics.
Okay, so they were actually my first publisher. They were doing a book called...
My shop still carries some. I don't know. I haven't seen any recently, but like I know I've picked up some in the last couple of years at my shop. Their
probably most famous property at this point is Warrior Nun, which Warrior Nun was made into a Netflix show. But the one that I loved was Ninja High School. So Ben Dunn, the creator, and I think the founder of Antarctic, he was doing one of the very first manga influenced comics in America. It's called Ninja High School. Yeah, and
yeah, I've heard of it. I know Ninja High School.
Yeah, so I ate that up, and then I think I submitted like either like a short story or cover pinups or something, and they liked it enough that they wanted to use it as a cover on one of their annuals, like Ninja High School yearbook.
Sweet.
I think it's called. Yeah, so that was actually my very first job, was like a cover for Ninja High School, and then so
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then
what a cool first job.
Yeah, it was really fun, and it was exciting because it was a comic I actually was a fan of, you know.
Yeah,
so, yeah, and so I did some for Ninja High School, and oh wow, I haven't read Hot Valley Days Cocaine Nights from Antarctica. Amazing title.
That one. Yeah, Bueller would talk good about that series. I remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that sounds like an amazing book. But so anyway, yeah, I started out there, and then in my junior year of high school, I finally just pitched them my own book. I asked them if they'd be interested, and they said yes. And I was still in college. I was a junior in college, and so at that point, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm gonna start my career as a cartoonist. Little realizing that, you know, there's so little money in indie comics, especially at that time. This was after the crash. after the collector bubble had burst, and like
Yeah.
the industry was like its lowest point pretty much. And there's no way I could make a living off just doing my own independently done book. So I did 3 issues of it, but after that, it wasn't viable enough to continue. And I was just starting out. This was my first time writing anything really. I did do one story for Warrior Nun. I did write something there, but other than that, Cell was like my first book that I wrote, and I just wasn't ready. I was too green. I didn't know what I was doing, and so I stopped that series at 3, and then I just decided to do my own comics on my own. When I realized that I couldn't really make a living off indie comics, I started doing other jobs. So I went to Korea and I started teaching English.
Oh, cool.
And so that was my day job. And then in the nighttime, I would do these like autobiography comics just about my life in Korea and just these stories I had from high school. And then that was called Same Difference. And then that ended up, that's what I got when I got nominated for the Eisner, the Harvey, and the Ignatz for that first book.
Wow.
Insane.
Man. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was insane. I don't know how that happened, and it'll never happen again. Trust me. But
no, that's not true. That's not true.
But anyway, when that happened, so then I finally could make a living off comics after that happened. And then Top Shelf took my book. I got a book deal with DC. I worked on Fables, bunch of stuff. I even got asked to do a Superman book. Scott McCloud asked me to draw a Superman book, but I was too busy doing my own comic at the time. So then my career was like really taking off, and then that's when I kind of crashed with that one series I told you about called Tune. And then I went to animation, and then so now I'm back. So I've lived quite a life. Like it's been a real roller coaster. So
it sounds like it. It sounds like it must have been fun though. Yeah,
it's been an incredible ride, and I feel like the happiest I've ever been in my career so far. Like having all that experience, having ups and then downs, and then now coming back. I'm so grateful for just any positive thing that happens. Great people like you asking me to talk to me, or just
it's a privilege. I love it. I feel very, very blessed to have you here, man.
Oh, thank you. Well, I feel the same way. And it's just great. Everything is just gravy now to me. Yeah.
How is it going to cons now that you got, since Last Mermaid's dropped, and you got this really beautiful book, and man, I just couldn't even imagine getting to go to cons and having your own title out like that. What's that experience been like?
I feel like a kid again, really, because
really?
I used to do cons all the time back when I was the first my period of comics life, and that's where I met most of my best friends, like Gene Yang and my other cartoonist friend Jason Shiga, John Pham, who I mentioned before. And a lot of cartoonists that I know that went on to do really great things, like Becky Cloonan and Raina Telgemeier. I mean, I was friends with them way in the beginning of their careers too. Like, all kind of came up at the same time. And cool. And seeing how great everyone's done, it's just so awesome. And being back in the world, it's so cool, because now when I table again, it's sort of like when I was in the beginning, meeting people that are starting to come up now. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. Like at the Denver Con, I met a bunch of new cartoonists that I hadn't met before, and it's just really fun. And then also cool thing is, when I first started doing cons again, the book hadn't dropped yet, so it was me just trying to sell it,
promoting.
Just promoting. Hey, would you like to look at this? But now that some of the issues are out, I actually have people coming up and saying they're big fans of the book, and it's just so mind blowing,
Yeah, because there's like certain issues that really hit you. Like issue 3 is a good one. Get introduced to a new character. Issue 5 was really good. Well, they're all good. They're all really good. It's a good title. Man, I'm tickled to death that you said that it was going to go. How many issues you said it's going to go now? 20?
Probably around 30. I would say 30.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really good news. I wasn't expecting you to say that it would go so long. How were you able to hook up with Image to put the title out?
I actually started with Image long time. I have a book from them from 25 years ago. This was, I can't remember the exact timeline, but it was like, I think right after Same Difference dropped. I'm blanking now. But anyway, it's a book and my friend Gene Luen Yang did together. It's called Duncan's Kingdom. It was only 2-issue series. And it's kind of like a short story. But which is now collected in our book Eternal Smile with 2 other stories. But originally it was an Image book. So
I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
I gotta get that. Yeah.
Thanks, man. But yeah, so I was actually in with Image a long time ago, but that was it. I mean, the Image was completely different at that point. He was still the original founders and everything, I think.
Mhm.
And I think Jim Valentino was the one that greenlit the book at that time. And then, but I think Eric, the publisher now, I think he probably knew me I mean, of my work from back then. So, oh, hi, Kika. How are you doing?
Oh, wow.
Kika's a friend of mine. Yeah.
So you're such an inspiration, Derek.
Well, you're an inspiration to me, Kika. She does her own short films, like animated, fully animated, beautifully animated films. So yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah, I highly recommend
out.
checking her Instagram. She has a lot of info about her shorts. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so then Eric, I presume probably already knew of me before. So when I pitched Last Mermaid, it wasn't that hard to convince him, I guess. I mean,
cool.
It's just another bit of luck, I guess.
So the relationship was already there from long ago. You just
I think
had to approach them.
Yeah, I was a little afraid Eric might not know me, but from his response, it sounded like he already knew of me and of my work. So yeah, so that really helped, I think, because he was still in comics back then, like when I started. So I think maybe if he was like a younger editor, maybe he wouldn't have responded so positively. I'm not sure, but yeah, luckily he just pretty much said, yeah, let's go. I showed him like the first half of the first issue, and
okay.
Yeah, and then he also did tell me, like, when I told him if another great thing about Eric and Image was that they let me do this format, which is amazing. I don't think other like smaller indie comic publishers would have let me do that. I mean, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like that's very likely. And all Eric told me was like, it could hurt your sales, but it's up to you. Do what you want to do. And so he did warn me, and I'm sure his warning was definitely warranted. I definitely do think my sales would have been better if it was a normal comic.
Do you think so?
I think so. Yeah. Maybe in the long run, once people get used to it, then maybe that will kind of get blurred out. But I think in the very beginning, at least after the first issue, I think probably there's some barrier there. But it's all speculation. That's in a multiverse world that I don't know. So, but in the end, I'm happy that we did go that way, just so that the art can breathe, and it's a different experience. And I do like the fact that it kind of stands out on its own too. Like
it does. It definitely does stand out amongst all the other books on the bookshelf. And this series has been a success, man. It's been a really big hit. People love the series. Does that surprise you at all? Did you think that it would be a hit?
At this point in my career, I don't have any expectations because
no expectations.
I've had a lot of ups and downs. Yeah, and so after those downs, I'm just like, you can only do what you love, right? You can only write what's in your head, in your heart. So that's all you can do. And then if there's other people that feel the same way, I would love to come to Kansas City. Bobby. Yeah, if they ever invited me, I'd be happy to be there. I've never been to Kansas City, so I'd love to go. One of the things I love about cons is visiting new cities. Like earlier this year, I got to go to New Orleans for the first time, which was really awesome.
Sweet. I bet that was fun.
Yeah, I expect nothing and appreciate everything. Exactly. That's the best way to. I think when I was younger, especially after I won those awards, I put all this pressure on myself. Like I have to top it. I have to do the best work, and I really messed with my head. And you always when something like that happens to you, you think the next time is going to be the same. You know what I mean? So, but you can't think like that. Everything is different. You can't expect what's gonna connect with people. You know what I mean? So, just go in there, just do the best work you can do, and then just appreciate it. Anything positive that comes. Even though it got canceled, I mean, so many other positive things came out of it. I'm just grateful that it even existed at all. So, but yeah, I'm sorry. What was your original question? First, rambling. Was it about conventions?
Yeah, I think that was the original. No, the last question. It was about Image, right. How you hooked up with Image, and then Bobby was asking about the Planet Comic-Con in Kansas. Yeah. And then I asked about the success of the series. That was the next question. Yeah, that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. That's
Yeah.
what it was. Okay. Yeah, it's but you know, like for example, like Chris of Comic Tropes, like talking about it was a complete shock. I mean, I have no
Great
idea.
guy.
I was just a fan of the show. I was just watching it, and then one day he mentioned it. I like it like blew my mind. Yeah, I think he talked about the solicitation the first time, and yeah, it was just blowing my mind. Because actually, like Comic Tropes and a couple other shows I've been watching while I was drawing. You know, so then
Right.
I was just like listening to the show as I was drawing, and then Chris mentioned it, and I was just like, "Oh my god, what?"
What?
Yeah,
That's
so it was
awesome.
really cool. Oh, and you know, coming back to comics now, one thing we didn't have back then was shows like this, like awesome shows like this, where you guys are talking about comics, and there's a community that you can see in the message. Yeah,
really, man. Yeah.
didn't have that when I first started doing comics, so it's kind of cool to see people's reaction like in real time, because back then you make the comic, you know, it takes 3 months and then print, and then after that you might get a few letters, you know, that's about it.
Letters,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, but now there's, you know, like people like you and Chris and people talking about comics. It's so cool. I think it's a cool time, really cool time for comics.
I love it, man. And I have so much fun doing it, and I enjoy meeting new writers and creators and comic book collectors. It's always so much fun. I have such a good time doing this live stream every week.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming through and hanging out with us.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing the show. This is so cool.
How can people follow you? Like, what's a good way to follow you for people that want to follow your career and follow what you're doing and what you got in the works?
Instagram is the best. It's the only social media I really have, and Threads, because Threads is connected. So whatever I post on Instagram goes on Threads. I have to admit, I didn't really, you know, I was completely out of it when social media was like blowing up, you know, in doing my own work. I was kind of just doing work for some other people. So I wasn't really in social media. So I'm a little behind on it. And I just can't really, I feel like I can't even handle more than Instagram. Like, and even Instagram alone is just, it feels like a lot to handle, you know?
I understand.
So, so I only have Instagram, and I do have a YouTube page, but it is a little blank at the time. Not very active at the moment, but I do have a YouTube page. They're all just my name, Kirk Kim. Awesome. And just wanted to mention real quick, I do have another book from Image coming next year. April. Yeah, it's a graphic novel, 210-page self-contained graphic novel. What? And yeah, I'm so excited. It's called Royals, and it's about royals. Yeah. And it comes out April 2025, and I wrote it, and it's illustrated by yes, there it is. Thank you so much, Sir Cam.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus. And yeah, it's drawn by an amazing artist named George Perez. Not George. I always say, I'm so sorry, Jacob Perez. It's because George Perez is so big in my head. But yeah, Jacob Perez. Jacob Perez is an awesome artist. He's an artist on the new Ninja Turtle show, The Tales of the Teenage Ninja Turtles. That's coming out
cool.
Soon.
Very cool.
Yeah, so he's illustrating the whole book, colors and everything, and he's an amazing artist from animation.
That's going to be great.
Thanks so much. Yeah, check out the art on my Instagram. There's 2 images up so far. And the story is about 2 twin brothers who are telepathically connected, and they use this power to con poker games. And in the story, they get caught, and then they find out after this happens that actually the game was actually run by this underground mob in South Korea, and they have to they have to pay the money back. But then something happens to the money, and then they have to do this job for this mob using their powers.
So it gets scary. They get deep real quick.
Yeah, it's like
man.
I think of it like did you ever see that movie Baby Driver?
No, I haven't seen Baby Driver.
Okay, it's like a crime heist, really like stylish, like really cool, like action drama, and it's like that mixed with Rounders and a Jackie Chan movie. So if you like those 3 things, I think, or even one of those things, I think you'd like Royals.
Well, I'm definitely going to check it out because I'm a fan of yours anyways. And
thanks, man.
The art sounds like it's going to be terrific. And the way that you describe the story, I think that sounds awesome. I think it's going to be really cool.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah,
so
I'm really excited.
Royals. Yeah. And you said it's coming out in April?
April of 2025. Yeah.
April of 2025. I can't wait. That's going to be so cool.
And Image allowed us to do a hardcover too. So I think it'll be a really beautiful book.
Man.
It's going to have gold leaf, and yeah, we're super excited.
So it's going to be a nice, shiny hardcover. I love a good hardcover. I can
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
a good hardcover.
Me too. Me too. Yeah. And they look so much better on the shelf.
They do. They really do. It presents very well.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
do you think at some point, do you think you'll ever do like a collected for Last Mermaid?
Oh yeah, there's one coming out in September. So yeah, so it
Awesome.
collects 1 through 6. So that'll be the first collection. And
Okay,
that's the
like
first
volume 1.
season. Yeah, volume 1, exactly. And so I'll be taking a break after the 6th issue so that I can, gather more pages. So yeah, another Baby Driver fan. I love that movie.
Nice.
Yeah, you got to see it, man. It's I think you'll really dig it.
I'm gonna write it down so I can check it out.
Yeah, it's an Edgar Wright movie.
Stuff down.
Edgar Wright directed it. If you like Shaun of the Dead or
I
Hot
like
Fuzz.
that movie.
Yeah, it's the same director, same writer director, and he's one of my favorite directors. Actually, he's actually an influence of mine as well, Edgar Wright. And and so the trade. This one, unfortunately, it's a soft cover, but maybe if it does really well, they'll do a hardcover. That would be really cool. But the first trade comes out in September, and then I'll take a break, gather, stockpile more pages, and then I can go monthly again. So yeah, it'll be like in 6-issue chunks, seasons.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm just happy to hear that it's going to be collected because it's gonna present beautifully in a trade. I just know it.
Yeah, I think it'll read better actually as a trade, to be honest, because it's slower paced kind of story, so you won't have that as many like halts and starts to the reading.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense. Well, we got about 4 more minutes. What do you have coming up in the near future? You said you got Royals coming up. That drops in April. So we have that to look forward to. But what else do you got coming up?
Well, the first thing that's coming out is the trade in September, and then I have Royals in April, and then oh, okay, gotcha. Well, I personally think it's top tier on Edgar Wright's filmography.
Check it out, definitely.
But yeah, either way, I mean, yeah, I think it's a really fun movie. But whatchamacallit? Oh yeah, so I don't have anything that's like signed yet, but I do once within that season break, I'm going to be pitching a couple other. Oh, cool! Thank you so much, dude. Glad you like the sound of that.
Yeah, that's good news. Yeah.
And whatchamacallit? Kansas City Royals.
Marcus making it. Marcus lives in Kansas City.
Yeah, maybe I should change the title to hit that market. Hello. Yeah, so I don't have anything on the books yet, but I have a couple books I'm going to be pitching during that time. A couple other books. I can't say anything about it yet, but I'm really excited for a couple of them. I'm going to pitch something to Marvel too. We'll see if something happens with that. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, man,
I think I have a take on a character that hasn't been done before. It's a very obscure character, but so we'll see if they have any interest. But yeah, that's one thing I have in the works.
Man, I think they'd be crazy not to. They need to. Yeah, you definitely need to. They need to give you a shot, man, for sure.
I did do some covers for them. I did do. I did Darkhawk. I did a Darkhawk variant.
Darkhawk is awesome. I love Darkhawk.
Yeah, that was really fun to do. And I did Monkey Prince for DC. I have a variant cover for that. So I do variant covers here and there. Yeah, I did a Dark Crystal. I did a bunch of stuff for Boom. But damn, I'm blanking on his name. But an editor from Marvel actually approached me at Denver to do more covers. So hopefully you can see more Marvel covers from me pretty soon. Yeah, awesome.
I didn't realize at first, like initially, I thought that you were just the writer on the book, and then I found out you did the art, you did the writing, you did everything.
Yeah, I do everything. That's why I need those breaks between 6 issues, because it's just so much work. I can't do monthly like regularly, so
that just blows me away, man. You guys are watching. When you look at Last Mermaid, he's done the writing, he's done the artwork. This man has done everything himself with that book, and it's just turned out beautifully. You guys, if you have to go pick up Last Mermaid, definitely highly recommend it. If you guys have not picked it up, it's up to issue 5 now. Issue 5 dropped recently. So you don't have too much catching up to do, really. And they printed issue 1. in second and third printings, and issue 2 got a second printing as well. So plenty of opportunities to pick it up out there. I think I saw some. Where's the best place to pick up a copy if they were looking for a copy online?
Of Last Mermaid?
Yes.
The issues? Yeah, I mean, any local comic book store, I assume, would order it for you.
Okay.
Yeah. At this point, I mean, if people don't want to do the legwork of collecting them all, I guess you could wait for the trade, which comes out in September. But yeah, as far as I know, I assume if you ask the comic book store, they'd order it for you.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, outside of comic book stores, I don't think you can get pamphlets anymore, right? Anywhere else?
What's that?
I mean, like the individual issues. I mean, they're only available at comic book stores these days, right? Not at like newsstands or.
No, they're not. Yeah, you would have to either comic shops or online, basically. Yeah.
That's true. Actually, yeah, they do sell it on Amazon too, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you reading Energo, Derek?
Energon.
Oh, Energon. I haven't yet, but I'm a huge fan of Daniel Warren Johnson. So I am I actually got the first trade of Transformers. I'm really looking forward to reading it.
It's great. You're gonna love it.
I grew up on Transformers, so I'm really and I loved Dual Power Bomb. So I can't wait to read it. But G.I. Joe, I didn't quite watch as much when I was a kid, so I'm kind of not as familiar with G.I. Joe. So, but yeah, if I really like the Transformers one, maybe. Oh, and I did read Void Rivals, the first issue, which I thought was really cool too.
Void Rivals is really good, and it really picks up around issue 8 or 9. It really amps up and gets. I mean, it's already good. It was a good series, but I felt like 8 or 9 it gets really, really good. And Cobra Commander was a good series as well. I definitely would recommend Cobra Commander. It was fun.
Yeah, I think Cobra Commander is the most compelling to me because in the cartoon he was such a like wimpy character, and so it's cool that they're showing why he's actually like dangerous.
Oh no, you're perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine. I'm just glad you're here, man. Thank you so much for being here.
I completely agree with Sir Cam's stances. I wish comic books were back in like, because when I was a kid, when I first came to America, I got all my comics at Circle K, the little like 7-Eleven type store.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Cool. I even got I don't know if you remember these the series that Neil why am I blanking on his name? This is crazy. I'm still bad at recalling names at the top of my head. Neil Adams. Sorry, Neil Adams has his own company called Continuity. Do you remember those?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. They even had Sam Marie. That's where I saw the first like indie comics at Circle K was Sam Marie comic that Continuity put out. Yeah. And so back then they even had comics like that on at the little grocery store, or I mean convenience store. Yeah.
Yeah, my grocery store had them. They had a spinner rack in the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. I miss those days.
I know, man. Me too.
Yeah. It's such kind of a bummer. Yeah, that's only at the direct market now. I mean, of course, I love comic book stores, but I feel like because there's comic book stores, because they exist, maybe grocery stores are like, well, I guess we don't need to do them, or something. I guess I don't know. Well, yeah, we old.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're getting old. Man, it's been so much fun, dude. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? We got the trade dropping later this year, so I'm definitely going to be picking that up. And then the new series, what would you call
Royals.
it? The new title, Royals.
Yeah.
That's April.
Yep, that's April. Yeah.
And then we got some potential things that we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So a lot of good stuff coming from you. So a lot of stuff to look forward to.
I have 10 years of backed up stories that I need to get out because during animation, I had so many stories that were like backing up. Because to be honest, I actually think of myself more as a writer than an artist. I got into comics to tell stories, not really to just draw, So I'm always writing in my head. So I have so many stories in it, and a lot of stories that I pitched to when I was in the animation world that I might just make into comics now that I'm back in comics.
Yes, man, that's good to hear. Yeah, I would love
old people rule.
Old people do rule.
We need more people like this. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you, Marcus. Thank you for dropping those.
Thank you.
You guys, please be sure to follow him. If you are not following Derek, head over to Instagram. Make sure you're following. Make sure you subscribe to him on YouTube. You guys got to pick up this book, man. Just take my word for it. It's a great title. We got dropping the Derek shop on Amazon. There you go. Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, most of it's like really old, I guess. I think The Last Mermaid is my best work, to be honest. My other work that's really popular with a certain crowd is Same Difference. But other than that, I really do think The Last Mermaid is my best work so far. But Royals, I'm just as proud of the story. So if you like Last Mermaid and you're into like crime caper kind of stories, I think you'd dig out Royals.
Man,
and if anything, just flip through it for the art, because he's just knocking my socks off. He draws in like a almost like a really cool Hanna-Barbera style, if you can imagine that. It's like
kind of cartoony, like Saturday morning cartoon style. Yeah. I love that. I love it.
It's really, really cool. Yeah. Man, it's not a style that you see a lot in like American comics. It looks more like maybe more like in a Tintin tradition, but more modern, more like kinetic and cool.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I can't wait. That's gonna be awesome. Well, Derek, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I've looked forward to this all week, and you didn't let me down. It's been a great chat, and the book's amazing. I can't wait to see where your career goes from here, and check out all the amazing stuff that you do from here. It's been a blessing having you here. I know that you haven't felt well, but despite that, you still showed up and still were a trooper and hung out with us, and I'm just so grateful, man. Thank you.
Oh, well, I'm grateful to you and all your awesome fans. Thank you so much for all the kind words, and great job on the show. Keep going. I love it. Yeah,
definitely will. It's something that I love to do. It's just something that I love meeting different writers and artists and collectors, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. I love the comics community. It's so it's a great community. It's so cool because it's one of the main themes in The Last Mermaid that will start to emerge as the story goes on is like she's the ultimate black sheep, right? Because she's literally the only mer creature in this entire desert world. Yep. And I think all of us have felt like the black sheep, whether in our family or in our town or whatever, being comic book readers, right? So and that theme is like continues in my book as well, and it's so cool like to have this community like with you guys. We're all kind of the same. We are, absolutely. This comic book community is great, and I wanted to thank all you guys in the chat tonight. You guys are awesome. Thanks for dropping all the links too. yeah, Marcus, man, that was awesome. Thanks for being an awesome comic book bro and moderator as usual. I really appreciate you, Marcus. Thanks to all you guys in the chat. Thank you to anybody catching the replay. Really appreciate you guys. Be sure to come back next week where we will have writer Justin Gray. He's going to be talking about all different comic books from Friday the 13th to Hills Have Eyes to Jonah Hex to all kinds of stuff, working with Jimmy Palmiotti. It'll be a cool show. Come back next Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And Derek, you got anything else to say before we go? Sounds like an awesome show. I'll be there. Awesome. Yeah, come back and hang out with us, man. Yeah. I'd love to have you. Thanks for coming out, guys. We'll see you guys next week. For now, head over to Geek Out with Roscoe for another episode of Between the Lines. We'll leave you with some Biggie like I always do. See you guys next week. Thank you.
I'd say that one is a banger, man. It's a real certified banger, dude.